Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Barry from CANISTORE. CANISTORE is a project on ICP that's empowering artists and creators to own and license their content using the power of blockchain technology. So thanks for coming on, Barry. We also have my co-host Mike, ICP. And Barry, we'd love to hear about your project and what your mission is, what you've been up to.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My name's Barry Paisley, as mentioned. I founded the CANI ecosystem. Now, the CANI ecosystem consists of three current components: CANISAFE, CANISTORE, and CANIPLAY. So the whole thing about CANI is about simplifying the journey of the creator and the consumer in that sense, right? Using tools that most creators need along that journey. Now, it starts with CANISAFE, which is your storage element, right? That space where you protect your intellectual property. It then creates documentation to support that. From your CANISAFE, it opens you to a world of CANI tools. One button sends your files to monetization, where it creates a store, your CANI store, where you can shop direct to consumer, right? You could press another button and it sends your music from your storage to a playlist on CANIPLAY or radio station. So it's just about having all of them tools at your fingertips and simplifying the journey pretty much.
Amazing. And obviously you're focusing on musicians, but it's not necessarily only for musicians.
No, so we're pretty much in the world of audio particularly, right? So that could be for sound designers. You know, a sound designer could upload maybe some samples, right? And license them to businesses or creators using CANISTORE, because CANISTORE creates your licenses for you to B2B, do B2B, right? So as we know, Spotify, etc., they focus on our B2C, right? Our listeners. But in fact, most of our money, a lot of the time, actually comes from B2C. That's the licensing agreements. That's usually taken care of by publishing houses, sync licensing pools who take the ownership and take most of the fee, half of it if you're lucky. So the licensing pool creates these documents. These licensing documents are created by real lawyers, Russell's law firm to be precise, from where we actually got our documentation from. So they're created by lawyers in the system for you to do that. So yeah, a sound designer could license their content to producers around the world.
Very cool. And for those who aren't aware, Barry, let's just paint a picture of like how hard artists have it in this world. There's so many middlemen involved. If you want to be heard, it's like Spotify and Apple are kind of the go-tos, and they don't pay very much per stream. I think it's like $0.0003 a stream, something like that I saw on your deck. So what other challenges do artists face in this industry that you're hoping to solve for with CANISTORE?
Well, I believe that, funny enough, the problem starts from actually uploading your music. You know, that's where the problem stems a lot of the time. I'll give you an example. An unknown artist has just gone viral on TikTok. You know, it happens, the algorithm, you know. How long does that creator have to monetize that bit of that song that went viral? They probably have maybe 3 days maximum, and I'm probably being generous here, you know, with something going viral until people don't care about it anymore. Well, to upload your music on Spotify or Apple, one, you have to use a distributor first. So straight away, you have to deal with the middle entities. Okay, you pay them. You have to go through, a lot of the time, a system of registering with them. Once you're registered with them as an artist, then you register your songs. that go through a whole admin and moderation, and it could take up to weeks. So therefore, this is why now you see songs come and die, you know, that have gone viral from unknown artists. Because a lot of the times when it is monetized, people don't care about it no more. When it does end up on Spotify, nobody cares. So I'd say the problem starts from uploading your music, and we could actually talk about every section from marketing to managing your files to distribution where there's a problem. And it's, as you mentioned before, it is the middle entities that have latched on to every step of the way. You know, and as I say, they take value and time away from the journey.
Yeah, it seems like ICP is really coming after this middleman in every industry. And in music, it's present as well. I was amazed. I watched that Google situation video that you had, Barry, which was really insightful. And it just it opened my eyes to the level of steps that you have to go to as a music producer just to sort of even make it to the playground, so to speak. And it was like 15 different entities, and there was like yeah, it was like really looked like really a difficult situation unless you have this one-hit wonder thing, which has happened on social media in the last couple of years, and they're able to bypass that with this mega hit, one-hit wonder, where, like you said, they might have they get all the attention for a couple of days on the entire social space, and then they're able to that can supersede these steps. But I'm wondering. And I know there's also a very small portion of people who are able to monetize that do make it. So how are smaller folks able to monetize? So I guess it would be like the 99% that aren't really crushing it on there. How are they able to try to monetize on there?
With a lot of my talks, I try to sort of debunk a lot of myths, right? And sort of unravel everybody from the, what can I say, the brain training, you know, that the system does, right?
Pull the curtain back on them.
Right. So what's happening right now is that they're training us to earn less from more. So less money from millions more. Right? When that's never worked. It's never going to work. And this is why we end up in this cycle. Right? With peer-to-peer, it allows us to make more from less. Now, let me give you two examples that I love to speak about. Right? One is an artist in LA, I believe, called La Russell. And he's a budding entrepreneur, and he takes music in that same fashion, right? And he went onto a platform called Even, where his fans could buy his album for whatever price they wanted to give, whether it was $5 or $50, right? Now, it was an average of $24 people chipped in. He only sold 1,237 copies in the first day, but that equaled to $27,000 that he made in just one day. You know, I think along the week he ended up making a lot more. But it goes to show that, hey, Spotify is teaching you, well, not even just Spotify, today's system is teaching you that you need millions. You do not need millions of fans. La Russell just showed you that you can use from 1,300 fans in your local area or wherever you are, right? If you support them, engage with them, you can make more from less. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And one more example is Nipsey Hussle, R.I.P. Right? He had a mixtape. He only made 1,000 copies of this mixtape, but guess what? It was $100 a piece. Now, he added, say, a concert ticket in there. He added some merch, some signed stuff. You know, made it a bundle, right? And he sold it in his local family store. 1,000 copies sold out in one day. How much is that? $100,000 in one day. Yeah, just from 1,000 copies. More from less. So this is what the CANI ecosystem is about, is removing the middlemen, allowing there to be a more equitable system for everybody, where the consumers can not just be passive consumers anymore. They can earn stuff. They can get engaged. So that's I wanted to kind of drop them gems on you guys to kind of show you the mind frame behind the system.
So good, man. So powerful. And I've actually experienced some of these challenges myself, Barry. I was in a touring band for 9 years. And we dealt with all this stuff. To get our music on Spotify, we had to go through a distributor like DistroKid or, you know, one of the others. And we would have killed to be able to give our music directly to our fan base. We had some diehard fans. I mean, we weren't huge by any means, but we had, 1,000 people maybe that would have been happy, more than happy to pay whatever for the album versus, you know, just getting it for free on Spotify. So it's just really exciting that this is becoming a reality now in 2025. So back to your platform, we have CANIPLAY, which is an on-chain radio station, essentially, yes?
Yeah, I like to look at it as a Spotify meets radio. So you have the Spotify playlist, well, Spotify type playlists, right, where you can browse the tracks, you know, as well as, you know, click into the creator straight away and it can go straight to their store. So no longer do you have to, like, you know, Google externally. You know, you can go direct to you and see what the artist is going on with, as well as you can sort of control the order of the playlist by voting and liking, and that controls the ranking in the playlist. Right, so the more sort of support you're getting on your track, the more visibility you'd have on these playlists. That's kind of created because of the problems we're having with Spotify playlists, where they're pretty much gate kept, and, you know, people are charging, and it's a myth whether you're going to get on it or whether you're not going to get on it. It's, you know, so I brought the playlist back to the people.
So cool. Yeah, we paid. I mean, we just paid so much for so many different things to try to get listed on playlists, to try to get on the radio. You know what I mean? And then this is a whole different direction, but like content creation, music videos, album art, all these things, like people don't realize the vast majority of artists are operating at a loss. And if you don't have like an investor or like daddy money helping you out, it's really a gamble, and you're just hoping you make that investment back over time, but the majority don't. You know, so it's just exciting to see like how Web3 and the blockchain ethos can help solve some of these problems.
Well, the thing is that it's not just about solving the problem of monetization, you see. It's a good point that you brought up. So the internet will say that, you know, 84% of creators don't ever reach a mid-level career. But I would say it's probably 99%, like you said. Maybe even 99 point something, you know, never make it. Right? But no, I would say more 99.9 something never release music. That's how far I'd go. Yeah, because I know many talented artists that never released anything.
It costs thousands of dollars to record and produce music.
Right. So the point I'm trying to make now with all of that, even music that's created, is that 100% of these creators, they store their music, right? They protect their IP. So right now we're creating services also that don't involve creators that release music. At least they can, store their music somewhere, because they've got to store it somewhere. So we can be that, you know, that alternative, that tamper-proof vault right? As well as protecting the IP and creating them documents to protect the IP and manage the IP. So we're not just targeting people who release music on Spotify. We're targeting the creator in general for multiple services.
Very cool. Yeah, and we stored all our masters on Google Drive, which we took for granted that it was safe and secure. But like in theory, if Google went down, our music was gone.
Gone.
Right? So ICP blockchain solves for that, being tamper-proof and immutable. So it's pretty revolutionary.
Yep. In your own control, you know. You have the keys.
Yes, sir.
And what's very interesting as well is that with the release of vet keys that's happening sometime this year, you then be able to not just store your files in your CANISAFE, but then you'll be able to encrypt them. And that's sort of encrypting it from everybody, like even the developers from CANI, the node providers on the network. Literally anything you have in your safe, your CANISAFE, would be encrypted to just your eyes or ears.
Very exciting. Mike's looking like he's about to say something.
So how difficult of a feat is that? And from the other side, I guess, from standard music industry.
What's the question? Sorry.
How big of a breakthrough is that? What you just described for the traditional music industry to hear that?
Well, you see, the thing is that as creators, what happens is we don't think about things until it's too late or until the problem's happened, right? So one thing I would say vet keys would be awesome for, right? Think about a vet key situation with a multi-sig safe, right? So we've always had a problem with albums being leaked, things like that. You know, what happens after it leaves the studio? There's a process, right? So maybe that can be locked in a CANISAFE, encrypted, right? And what that is proactive protection. Because right now, unfortunately, we just have reactive protection, hacks, damages, it's all reactive.
Yeah, in the broader space, they're called honeypots, where everybody's information is just sitting there. Your social security number, your bank account number, your street address, all that stuff. So in your industry, that'll be your lyrics, your instrumentals, and your vocals. And if you were a major artist, that stuff's got to be very valuable. And so that'll be one of the key value adds, I'd imagine, of your platform. And then the hope that millions of people will begin using this on-chain radio station. That is really interesting idea as well. If both of those sort of click, wow, this could be the intersection of music and blockchain. It seems it's really, really interesting. Very, wow, neat.
Definitely, it's just about having full control of your intellectual property. Why don't we have full control of that? Like, why can't I, have control of my music where I have it stored, have it encrypted because I don't want anybody to listen to it. Then I press a button and I want it, played to the world for a few days, and at any time I can just press a button and extract it away from radio back into my storage, which is encrypted. It's sort of like, why can't we do that? That's how my brain sort of thinks.
Yeah.
Instead, we don't have control. That's the problem. Yeah. The problem is that how it's always worked is we give up our control of our intellectual property, right, for it to be managed for us.
Yeah.
With a lot of the time, it's ownership is the sacrifice, long-term ownership.
Right.
And that a lot of the time that's generational wealth. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm seeing, especially these young artists. You know, I'm getting on now, so I'm watching these young artists and I'm seeing them almost give up, like, you know, give up ownership for temporary gain, right? And it's not their faults. They believe that, hey, they have to use this, they have to go this way of things. They have to use these labels or these publishing houses, or, you know what I mean? They think that that's the route, but in fact, it's not the only route.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's an alternative. I always say, like, people in every interview, they ask me, so, like, what about the record labels? Like, you know, like, are you fighting against them, or are you fighting against Spotify? I'm saying no. I'm just creating an alternative that, hey, if you do want your decentralized storage where no one can see your stuff, if you do want full control of your IP, if you want your legal documents created for you free of charge, just from you using the system, and you want full control, use the CANI ecosystem. You know, so it's about creating that alternative.
Barry, do you see any first mover advantages for creators, entertainers, artists to come onto the Web3 generally with your platform, perhaps?
Yeah, I would say that one of the first mover advantages, right, regarding Web3 is the whole tokenization portion of it. Like, once you've done it well, you can mint a currency that has a value. And then guess what? A lot of these projects have like a percentage, which sometimes it could be 1%, but that's like millions of these tokens that are airdropped. But hey, why not then use that to attract artists to come over? You know, basically give them free money to join the platform, you know, a currency that they can use in the platform, entice them to come in. I remember with Uber, it's like if you referred a friend, you'd get £5 worth of Uber rides.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that this is where Web3 is very advantageous. You know, we could have crazy referral codes things going on. Imagine being able to hold $5 worth of Uber credits, and you might be able to hold them, and then they 10x or something like that. So it's a bit more fun. Do you know what I mean? Regarding that, so I think tokenization is a big attraction point. But I would say, from a business, someone who's got their head screwed on, I would say definitely the protection of your IP should be the first mover for you.
Yeah, it seems like in the broader space, there's the subscriptionization of every service and every type of product. And I think that, like, it seems like artists are going to want to find their way to a subscription type of service where maybe they don't release typical 12-track discs anymore, or whatever, however they do it on Spotify. Maybe it's like we were going to do this thing with the Cloud Foundation. Instead of doing a video every Friday, we were going to guarantee a couple videos per month or something. If you were part of this membership, so to speak, NFT, or if you had maybe a certain amount of the Cloud token. This is just speculation, by the way, but you know, in the same type of thing, it seems like you could do for your artists, where if you had the artist's NFT, or if you had a certain amount of their token, you could get access to stuff as it became available. You became connected to the flow of that artist somehow, like live, like in real time or something. And that could be that could mean so many different things. I want to know what you think about that, and I'd like to hear what you think about that, Chris, for Cloud later too. So
yeah, no, it sounds dope. I think Web3 is definitely about people being much more than, as I said earlier, passive consumers, but a part of something, and ongoing too. And so far, I don't think anybody's really conquered that, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's been temporary sort of fads and stuff like that, but no real world community utility that can scale,
Yeah,
right? That has the ability to scale. I don't think anybody's done it properly yet. So it'll be
right.
interesting
Yeah, I get that
how
exact
you
same
find
feeling.
that out.
Yeah, it's like there's Patreon and stuff like some Web 2 uh somewhat equivalents to this, but obviously they have their own drawbacks being on Web 2.
Yeah, and Patreon's getting a big cut of the action as
Exactly.
well, which is another
Yes.
huge variable in this whole thing. It seems like there could be there's a situation or there's an opportunity for a huge creator to like to spearhead this situation you're talking about, Barry, where they could like have NFTs that both both are valued by the broader world and the people that use the NFT, staying connected with the artist, and then like they're in the position where like if they wanted to sell the NFT, they're like, well, what if this artist continues to blow up and they turn into like a Michael Jackson type of figure, and then my NFT's worth 20 times what it was when I sold it. So like there's like real world like leveraging that is really gonna take something like ICP. So here we are, and Barry's
Yeah.
behind the driver's seat of this, and I'm so excited to see what comes down the road of it with the NFTs and building the communities and the branding and all that stuff is so exciting, and something as big as music. How cool! Yeah, how cool!
Definitely. That's what we're on, man. Exactly what you're saying, building and growing. And one thing I haven't spoken about a lot is the CANI hubs that we're creating. Right? Obviously inspired by the ICP hubs that have spread around the world. Um, what led me to this? I was in South Africa in 2021, and I was at a conference, and I was talking to some of the guys at YouTube, and basically they at the time they no longer had any ground level operations like hubs, like media suites, things for the community, right? That sort of attract ground level talent, right? Um, so when the ICP hubs started, I was like, you know what, this is a good idea. So I started creating these CANI hubs, right? I'm setting one up in South Africa, right? Got quite a few peeps down there. Istanbul, right? With my peeps out there. London, and then two in the States, West Coast and East Coast. And these hubs here are literally going to be onboarding talent on a ground level.
Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. So, that's how we're going. That's how we're marching forward as well.
Barry, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee in the States. It's Music City. So I mean
Yes.
this would be an ideal location for one of those hubs. And I have a lot of artist friends, and as I continue to learn more and more about your project, I'm going to be sharing it with them. And there's a lot of activism around here as far as like protesting the status
Mm,
quo with Spotify and Apple, and I
mm,
don't think much of it has had a ton of success, to be
no.
honest. They eventually just surrender, and it is what it is. But now you're building a solution. Like the solutions are materializing.
Yes.
So it's just so exciting, man. I'd like to understand just how it works. For example, my old band, we have an EP that we never released. It's like just 4 tracks, some of the best music we ever made, in our biased opinion. And say we wanted to host that EP on CANISTORE.
Mm-hmm.
You want to like just walk us through that
Sure.
process, and then how, and conversely from the fans and from the listeners end, what the process is like for them to purchase our music
Right.
and access it.
Sure. So I'll give you an example of when we get to our commercial release, right? So right now we're in testnet. So we're in test release. We've got 100 creators right now testing the ecosystem. Nice. So I'll give you an example of how it would work on commercial release. So you would upload that EP into your CANISAFE, right? Mm-hmm. That would then create a notice of rights. Because you're in the States, it will let you know, hey, you're in the States, so you have a local copyrights office. So upload that content, that document, into your CANISAFE to support your EP, right? So you can have your protection also on chain, right? You won't lose it in the future, which we normally do, and then have to go back to the local copyrights office, etc. Now, you'd think to yourself, all right, so how do I want to monetize this? Now, I've got loads of friends that make a lot of music money that you've never heard of. Why? Because they only make music for film. They only make music for like advertisements, etc., for commercial use. All right. So you may want, your EP available for licensing. So you'd press the Can I Store button. That will create your license. Is it exclusive, non-exclusive, the term time, the asset type, and your basic terms of your license. Then you have that up on your Can I Store ready. Right? That would be if you want to license it. If you want to do more, you could have that on your Can I Store for download, maybe for gated stream, right? Kind of like your own OnlyFans where, hey, pay some money to watch this exclusive content, right? Or listen to this exclusive content. Or you might want to go over to CANIPLAY, right? So you'd press a button, you'd share it to one of the playlists. So depending on maybe your genre, the vibe, there'll be different playlists, and you pick whatever playlist suit that vibe. Now, for your plays on that playlist, you'll be getting some tokens, right? Also, we're going to be PRS registered. That's the UK, PRO for Australia, more for around the world. So then you'll get your artist royalties paid from your local royalty office as well, right? For your plays on CANIPLAY. And then additionally, we'll be having the usual advertisement model, right? Which you get paid currently from Spotify. So the advertisers pay Spotify. Spotify actually pays you, or pays your distributor. Your distributor pays you, right? So we'll have our advertisers on there. Because we're on the IC, we don't need offices all around the world. The tech stack is complete on the layer 1. So therefore, we can then give a larger portion of the advertising to the creator per stream. So then it don't need to be 0.003 as you mentioned, right? It can be a lot more just from that basis, right? So there's a lot to unpack there, right? With that alone, right? But that allows us to pay out more. So it's a triple whammy: tokens, PRS, PRO, royalties, and then advertising. So this is what I'm trying to get artists paid on a triple layer kind of thing. And then direct sales. I spoke to you about, selling your album 1,300 times, $27,000. That could be done via your downloads on your CANI Store. So you're juggling multiple revenue streams here.
Very impressive. Wow. And then, so from the user standpoint, from our fans' standpoint, ICP, as we know, has quite a learning curve initially. Are you attempting to circumvent some of that learning curve? Like, how easy is it for the fans just to use their browser and stream the music or download the music? Do they need an internet ID?
Right. So currently they know no different. If you're talking about the listeners can go on it, they can go on it right now, caniplay.io right now, and go on CANIPLAY and stream some music. Simple. You go to the website, you press play.
Nice.
right? We're open for testnet, so nothing's monetized. So technically, ICP gives you a Web 2 experience, but it's Web 3, right? And that shows you. CANIPLAY.io right now is an example of that. Now, we want to add extra features, right? So yes, you will need an internet identity if you want to, say, get involved in a random NFT airdrop or token airdrop while you're listening to Can I Play. So you might just be listening to Can I Play one day, you're on a playlist, you know, and you just get dropped some tokens, you know, or there might be a competition. So there's no longer the need of that whole third parties and competitions. Like if I win something, I can win something directly to my wallet. That's logged in right now to CANIPLAY.io. Right, so that makes that fun. So I spoke about radio stations that are on there. So the radio stations all have a controller. And it's the same thing as a playlist, but the controller controls the playlist. So the listeners can only listen live, whatever's being controlled by the controller. Right? So right now we've got our own radio stations, but we've just onboarded as well one of the first influencer radio stations, right? Where Kamal, he's going to be Crypto with Kamal. He's controlling that station. So, you know, that's going to be very interesting. Anybody that does want their own stations, it will be like a DAO where you know, send in a proposal to get your own radio station. Each station, each playlist comes with a chat box. So you see it now, each station, each playlist has a chat room where you can chat.
Barry, are you planning on most folks using or engaging on mobile or desktop?
Well, we've actually launched most of it on mobile. The only thing that is desktop and mobile is CANIPLAY.io. That's the only thing that's mobile and desktop. But your CANISAFE right now is mobile, and your CANISTORE. The reason being is that I want to focus on the emerging markets. So places like Africa, you know, it's heavily mobile only. That's right. You know, a lot of places are heavily crypto. These guys, you know, they're very highly underbanked. So even getting their money from these platforms, it can be challenging. You know, so yeah, we're building CANI definitely for the emerging markets.
That's really cool. That's so cool.
It's deep. So,
yeah, it is.
This is a project that is like more than just technology. You know, it's a movement, you know, where we want to entwine tech and culture. You know, I really think that, I think Web3 is really futuristic, but also really very retro at the same time. I don't know if you understand what I mean by that. So I feel like, you know, literally what we're doing is just restoring the natural relationship between creator and community. You know, that's basically what it is. Along the time, along the years, along the decades, people have gone in between and entities have gone in between this relationship. You know, with ICP, with the Internet Computer, with Web3, with CANI, we're just undoing that, you know, undoing that disengagement, you know, clearing the runway and, you know, bringing that relationship back.
Yeah. It seems like there's going to be so many reasons bringing these creators, artists to Web3 and CANI ecosystem. And the advantages that you're going to have being able to offer outrageous rewards, perhaps compared to what they're used to or what the industry standards are. And like I saw in that Google recording that, like, and we know this just in just our general videos, just the extreme low cost of storage on ICP compared to traditional systems. And we talk about like what types of businesses are going to be in this migration coming to ICP Web3. And I suspect a lot of the initial ones are going to be content storage heavy, compute perhaps intensive. And one of those is going to be kind of your industry. And you mentioned this the savings perhaps that you're expecting to be able to like you're able to just leverage in various ways how data is going to be able to be stored and processed at like 1/10 the price, or maybe that was what I think Dom said 1% of the price in some instances. So you'll be able to return that back to the artist and to the users in a lot of ways. And I'd like to hear from you, Barry. How do you plan on leveraging the financial benefits that you'll have, and like the user and the security benefits? And there's no cybersecurity as well, which is like another cost you won't have to have. It's like, yeah, how do you see yourself like best capitalizing on all those?
Right. So definitely, as I mentioned, the tech stack. So not having to have all of these departments.
Mm.
You know, we don't need all of these kind of departments. Like, you know, the canisters take care of everything. And because we've always had decentralization at its core, we've always said CANISAFE. As soon as you create a CANISAFE, they're actually your own canisters. You see what I'm saying? So, because we're heading into GDPR compliance, you have the right to be forgotten. So you'd be able to just press an eject button and your canisters will just leave the ecosystem.
Wow.
You know, and you've got the right to be forgotten. You're forgotten. You know, when you want to use the services again, you can re-engage your canisters and then use the compute from the ecosystem. So it's built in a different way. Like, CANI is built to empower. You see what I'm saying? It's built to empower. It's not built to monetize you.
Yeah, to like harness you.
Yeah, like obviously the system has to make money to sustain. You know, it has to be a business that can scale, etc. But it's not built in that way. And I've always been a person that I feel that if you build something good, you'd actually make more money than you would from just trying to make money from people.
Extracting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Extracting. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I've got a feeling that, you know, I've always been like that with
everything
I do.
Yeah.
And it's true to the CANI system. You know, it's there to empower you, make things easier, simplify your life in that sense. You know? So that's one thing that I'm very excited about. Saving a lot of these costings means that we can attract more people by offering you way more per stream.
Right.
You know, because this is what people are screaming for. You know, so we've got a mechanism here that, you know, we believe that with the right amount of numbers, we'll be able to attract advertisers. Once we get the advertisers, we'll be able to then demonstrate this per stream kind of thing. So it's steps. It's actually steps to get there. You know, so they're sort of some of the places that I'm interested about actually adding value, right, from where we save, you know, directly to the creator.
Yeah, I'm getting really excited by NFTs that are going to be permanent and useful in the future. And I'd imagine a lot of the artists coming across are going to want to have their own kind of NFT to allow access to these types of things. And generally, I feel like this is the right time, and the creators are going to be like monetization is really difficult in Web 2, and you can't like escape the large you can't monetize without the establishment. You have to be approved, like especially on YouTube. If you want to become popular, YouTube has to give you the nod, basically, or deem your content like appropriate or beneficial to the overall however they want to like value your content. But with this DAO, decentralized autonomous, and the voting perhaps to determine what's going to be important, what the community wants to see or listen to. You know, that's where I think this music thing, the people on the bottom are going to be able to be voted upon, like equal to the people that are at the top. They're going to be getting like feedback from the same parties, and like it's going to help level the playing field, perhaps. And when you combine that with this reward, the capacity for these rewards, like, you know, hopefully it just bridges the gap between the half of 1% that's making millions and billions and everybody on the bottom that might be creating like and comparable work, but it's just the powers that be just have the influence to persuade people so strongly. But hopefully the DAO can swoop in and solve that. Do you see that happening, Barry?
The problem is that, you know, once you see, you can't unsee. And, you know, I've seen a lot of the problems, and I've almost seen that people are now kind of almost just have accepted how things are.
100%.
There's a few, you know, as you said, protests here and there, but in general, you know, they're excited about promoting their stuff on these platforms, and you know, not earning much, not having much control. You mentioned previously, just in the beginning of the question, that people just they just work with what's available. Like, you know, I've said in the previous talk that, hey, if I put in $100 into my music and he puts in $100,000 into his music, we're both selling them at the same price. Like, do you understand this? This like, come on, like when you come out of the box, it's like there's no personalized monetization, which is the problem, right? That's the problem. We can't personalize. We have to think of all of these. We have to think of all of these out of the box ways to sell our music. Why? Like what? Like why? Like, okay, this band, they done this quirky thing. That,
Giveaways.
You know, yeah, and it worked. Wow. And then, you know, a few other people try it. And why is getting our music to the people who love music so difficult? Mm-hmm. Something's wrong. Something's up. You know, everybody loves music. Why is it so difficult? You know, so to your question, sort of like, yeah, a DAO is going to be helpful in some aspects, right? But one thing about the DAO, is that I believe that there's steps to decentralization. I believe that a project shouldn't really be fully decentralized until the roadmap has been ran out. Like whether it's a 5, 10, or 20-year roadmap. You know, because the project started from the vision, you know, and the community joined the project because of the vision. Not everybody has the vision. So sometimes we need to, at birth and at the beginning, we need to support the builder. Not try to overthrow with any votes or anything like that. You know, it should be just supporting the vision, right? And we should be all trying to build something that is self-sustainable.
Yeah.
So like one of the first ICP videos, like it kind of like, I think it was Harrison, he was explaining that like an exit on the ICP is not like an exit in traditional tech. Like in ICP, you exit to the community. Right? And I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, but that really is a DAO, isn't it? Like, when you're part of a DAO, maybe like because you built it, you've got most of the tokens or high voting power. But then after a while, you want to start thinning out and creating that as a proper decentralized DAO that, you know, run by creators for creators. And I think that that's kind of how you exit on ICP, you know.
Yeah,
You know,
this is
can't be done anywhere else because you can't have 100% on chain anywhere else.
That's kind of a perfect segue. Barry, I wanted to ask you if you could explain to the audience why this is only possible on ICP. We know why, and the ICP, silo, which is maybe the majority of the viewers, but for people who don't even know what ICP is, can you explain why this is only possible here on this network with this technology?
Right, because one simple thing, it's 100% on chain. So, you know, if everybody goes down, we stay up. You know, when everybody else has been hacked, we're unhackable, we're tamper proof. You know, when everybody is not able to compute on chain at web speed, we're computing on chain at web speed. So I would say, yeah.
And why didn't you go to some other blockchain besides ICP to build this project?
Because it just actually wouldn't be possible. Like, how can we be in the business? I mentioned this quite a few times. How can we be in the business of protecting copyrights and intellectual property, allowing creators to protect their IP, if we're relying on other third parties to do so? That makes no sense. You know, it makes no sense at all. So we're giving you that insurance that, hey, you're 100% on chain. Like, if Amazon, you know, services go down, you're still up. We don't have to write you a letter, you know, saying that, hey, due to Microsoft Azure or AWS or something like that, sorry, there's been a data breach. You know, it's not going to happen. But I believe that with ICP and a lot of projects on ICP as well, a lot of people are not going to know the importance until there is a big problem. That's when.
So good. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to get when they come to Web3 are going to be they're going to be profound in every industry, and they're going to allow smaller and smaller teams to succeed as well. I don't know how many are underneath you, Barry, but I'd imagine you could be a very lean business operating in Web3, solving a big problem, and in the future you'll be able to have your agents taking care of in-house responsibilities and stuff. Maybe you'll have 3 or 4 of those, and 1 or 2 managers in each country, and you know, you can do all that with 10 people and have a large multi-million-dollar corporation. I'd imagine fairly, not easily, but within reason on Internet Computer. And yeah, you just there's so many benefits. Like the ones you just mentioned, they come along as a bonus. The lack of cybersecurity, like we just it's like when you get a MacBook for the first time, and all you had was Windows your whole life, and you don't have to have virus protection or something, and you just forget about that over time. And you know, for us, we've heard about it so much that we kind of take it for granted, but everybody else still just cannot believe these things that we've been experiencing, like open chat, for example, running for years with no firewall at all, and all's fine and well. And yeah, any competitor to open chat would have spent probably maybe millions of dollars on cybersecurity in that time. So just goes to show you savings are possible. The rewriting of typical models is going to happen. And yeah, Barry, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
No, thanks, man. It's been dope. We're looking forward to an exciting year, you know, where we hope to have our commercial release, and we hope to have, you know, 100,000 creators on board. That is our first major milestone target. Of course, that will be post-investment, you know. But yeah, we've just with the launch of these hubs, man, we just really want to just get into these places where, you know, these untapped markets. We don't really even mention that, hey, there's a lot of Web3, Web2 platforms that don't even have access to whole regions that we do. You know, there's how many countries have banned YouTube or Facebook or, you know, many platforms. But hey, we're on ICP, so currently we can go anywhere in the world.
I wouldn't have considered that. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's something. There's a lot of things that people don't speak about, you know, and that's probably because, you know, we haven't had that massive app yet, you know, that's just gone crazy, and you know, but once it does, it's gonna have a lot of content, you know. So I think that might be cool content to start creating from now, like little bits and pieces, you know.
You want to tell us a bit about your onboarding strategy, how you're planning to get to that 100K goal?
Yeah, sure. So we'll be able to pull a few faces on board, right? To sort of the people that youth know and etc.
Nice.
Start onboarding. You've already seen we've done a few events on like one in Ibiza. Right, we just done a concert as well in London, Covent Garden, for R&B artist Nathan. So as well as events, online stuff, and the hubs, right, is where we really want to get on board. Like, you know, the hubs in Africa, South Africa, and West Africa. We really want them hammering home, because, you know, I feel that regions like Africa, man. You know, my family's from the Caribbean, but I was blessed to actually be able to visit Africa. And I've just seen that, hey, what we can do over there regarding Web3, you know, they almost need Web3. With the amount of infrastructure that these countries lack, right? They need Web3.
Yeah.
Right, over here where I am, London, you know, it's I guess it's a necessity. It's, you know, something I speak to Terry about quite a lot. Agridal Terry.
Yes, sir.
It's like, you know, so yeah, these kind of regions, as I said, the emerging markets, man. That's where we really want to get, and that's where the numbers are, man. You know, as you guys know, youngest generation in the world.
Yeah.
You know, the numbers like are just crazy down there. But the thing is that with markets like Africa, what I've noticed, right, is that we can't have the same subscription models and stuff that we have. So there's a platform in Africa that is like their Spotify. It's called Boomplay, right? So for a lot of them sort of untapped regions, like certain villages and that, they've actually got something called like a pay-as-you-go service.
Oh, okay.
Where they can chip in little bits and pieces and get bits of streaming. Right? You know what I mean? So I think that we also have to adapt to these kind of regions as well.
Yeah.
The current kind of Spotify kind of subscriptions, even if they brought it right down to $2.99 for certain regions, are still not that affordable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For everyone, in that sense. So I think that's something we're going to be doing as well, adding in some sort of pay-as-you-go for some regions like Africa, India, South America.
Yeah, like you said, nobody's done it really, really right yet on the platform. So there's no real playbook, which I think is going to be written over the next couple years, where you'll be able to take your business, your content, your ideas to Web3 and monetize them, and leave out the middleman and the big tech established companies and things like that. Yeah, really neat. Any last kind of closing comments, Chris, Barry?
It's been a real pleasure to hear about the project and your plans, and we look forward to watching the destiny unfold, so to speak. We'd be happy to help any way we can with, you know, promotion, getting these hubs off the ground. You let us
Mhm.
know how we can help get the message out.
For
And
sure.
yeah, anything else
Oh,
you want to get out
oh,
to the community?
definitely need to head down to Nashville, man. That's like that's
Let's
something
go.
that's been on my bucket list.
That'd be so
You know
cool,
what I mean? It's
man.
one of the homes of music, and I've been to a few homes of music, man. And it's amazing when you go to a place and you really go to the home of music, in that region for certain genres. So that'd be dope. Any leaving notes? I would say, guys, check out the website CANISTORE.io. You can go directly to CANIPLAY. That's CANIPLAY.io. Follow us on X. That's CANISTORE. That's at CANISTORE. We're also on TikTok and Instagram as well. So yeah, follow. 2025 is going to be a big one.
Let's go. Well, thanks again, Barry. It's a pleasure to meet you. And
Yes, sir.
thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.
Peace.